Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and feeling good out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great week out there so far. We got a lot to discuss in this morning's video, and the first thing we'll talk about is what's going on right now into the next 24 hours across the entire lower 48. But of course, most of our focus is going to be on the eastern U.S. as we have a powerful storm system impacting a lot of people in many states. This is bringing a whole lot of rain for a whole lot of people. This is bringing some snow for certain areas as far south as like Tennessee. You guys have been the king of light snowfall events so far this winter. It's crazy. It's snowing. At least it was snowing this morning in Nashville, Tennessee, but it's actually raining in portions of Maine. So pretty wild stuff. Just the way this trough is digging down is setting up the cold air in certain positions of the U.S. But we'll speak on that. We got significant winds that's going to really get going later on today across southern New England. We'll talk about how much rain, how much snow could fall in certain areas, and then we'll have a separate segment, at least a timestamp up for you folks that live in the Great Lakes region, and we'll really zoom in to some of these geographical areas and really talk about how much snow the National Weather Service is forecasting throughout the rest of the work week. This isn't going to be as long lasting as, say, if you compare it to the events that we've seen over the last couple weeks. But it is going to pack one heck of a punch over the next 48 to 72 hours, all the way into the early portion of this weekend. So we'll help you guys out there and show you guys snowfall maps. After we get done discussing all that, stay tuned for the end of the video. What I think is a very interesting pattern coming up. It is definitely throwing a lot of people for a loop here. We don't know what's going to happen, and honestly, that excites me. That's what makes me love the weather, is the unknown. But I would say after the 17th, 18th of December, things get really fuzzy. And of course, that does include getting into, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and I'm not going to talk about all the way to New Year's or anything like that. But really, after you get past December 18th, I would say, things get really weird. And we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'll talk about what we're the most confident in, and then I'll talk about what we were the least confident in. But definitely stay tuned for the end of the video. We're going to have a segment on that. And of course, we're going to talk about that a lot more after we get this system we're dealing with right now out the way. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So a lot of rain falling across a whole lot of areas. Stretching from the panhandle of Florida all the way up into Quebec. It's raining. We have some freezing rain still falling where it's raining and the temperature at the surface is below 32 degrees. That would make it freezing rain up here in Maine. And it is snowing down here into the Cumberland Plateau. Heck, it might even be snowing in some of these higher elevations of like northeast Alabama. Let me know if you're seeing anything. I've already seen video in Tennessee where it's snowing. It's snowing in Kentucky. The rain is going to try to switch to snow over the next several hours in northeast sections and eastern sections of Tennessee. But some of these areas are going to get some strong to severe thunderstorms today, and I'll kind of zoom into some areas. It's going to take a minute for the resolution to come through for us, so just bear with me. Here we go. And here it is. Here's the snow falling, heavy rain falling at my house currently here in Columbia, South Carolina. I really want to watch out for this area of eastern North Carolina later on today, and we're going to speak on this here in a second for a tornado threat. And we come up here, just a big slug of rain moving across the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, all the way up into New England. And we'll zoom out, and the cold air is really funneling in behind this in the form of just snow showers. And I do think we're going to run the risk for some snow squalls in the Ohio Valley, the Midwest today. And we'll have a separate segment for that also. So we're going to try to speak on everything. Hopefully we won't miss anything at all in this video. But that's what's going on right now. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We have a lot of special weather statements out here. We have some in Kentucky. We have some up in Indiana, Illinois, and this is really just for some snow squalls that can move through, especially in Indiana, Illinois, all the way into western Ohio throughout the day today, with the cold air really ushering in maybe a little bit of a convective element to it like we saw last week. So we'll see if it's comparable to that. But like I said, we'll speak on that here in a second. Winter storm warnings up for western lower Michigan. Winter storm warnings up for the UP of Michigan. Because of this lake effect snow. We actually have a lake effect snow warnings up for areas including Buffalo, all the way down to Erie County, Telk Hill Plateau, and this actually extends well away from Lake Ontario all the way into the Adirondacks. We have lake effect snow warnings, so you can tell that this band is going to extend well off Lake Erie and especially Lake Ontario. We got winter weather advisories for what's going on right now with the freezing rain that's falling in certain areas. These actually expire in 25 minutes. So by the time I'm done with this video, it will be expired. We have winter weather advisories for the spine of the Appalachian Mountains down here in Tennessee, North Carolina, even up through Virginia, West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, some winter weather advisories for the hills. And we even have some special weather statements down here in the southeast. This is for the thunderstorms moving through. And then we have some freeze watches, freeze warnings down in South Texas. And we have some winter weather advisories up for the Sierra Nevada, the Rockies of Montana, etc. So that's what's going on right now. Watches, warnings, and advisories. There's a good bit going on. At the risk of flooding in the yellow area, which includes all of Maine, by the way, all of New Hampshire and most of Vermont, and just about all of southern New England, you might as well say, there is a 15% risk if you live in this yellow area of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles in a given location. So the risk of flash flooding is legitimate up here. It's real for sure. And then the risk of thunderstorms, severe weather. Look at this slight risk that extends all the way from just about Myrtle Beach to Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, Cape Cod, all the way to Providence, Rhode Island, almost up to Hartford. We have a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather, includes the Jersey Shore. What is this driven off of? Well, the tornado risk is real today in eastern North Carolina. In this area right here, this is where you have a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location, pretty much for everybody in extreme eastern North Carolina. Includes all the Outer Banks, almost up to Norfolk, Virginia Beach area in Virginia. And, you know, what is the risk of winds? Well, you have to go all the way up here. Pretty much if you live in a slight risk in this yellow area is where you have a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in any given location. So, yeah, I mean, this thing is going to be bringing a lot of winds with it, not only aloft in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but at the surface also. Now, hell, I don't expect much of a risk with this. In fact, it doesn't even have a risk up. So don't have to worry about that too much. Definitely not. This thing definitely does not have the dynamics for that. But the southeast, let's take a broad look at things. I'm going to sweep through this pretty quick and then zoom into the areas that I'm the most concerned about or definitely needs a little bit more attention, which is the snow and severe weather side of this. But thunderstorms will cruise across Georgia, the Carolinas this morning. They will continue into the afternoon. You guys in Florida will get a line of thunderstorms that sweeps through almost the entire state of Florida before it's all said and done. And then this is going to get into the eastern sections of North Carolina, a little bit of southeast Virginia, and also the PD of South Carolina just after lunchtime. And this is where these could really tap into some more ingredients to promote severe weather. And a tornado risk with this is real in eastern North Carolina. I mean, when you got a 5% risk of a tornado, that's when you really need to pay attention. And this will move through the entire southeast coastline. And then look at the snow showers behind it. So let's go on and zoom into the area of concern with severe weather. This morning, we do have that line of thunderstorms moving through the Carolinas. And here's just a closer look. Like Fayetteville right here, storms already moved through around lunchtime. Myrtle Beach, storms are knocking on the doorstep early this afternoon. And then if you live throughout all of extreme eastern North Carolina, you might get a clearing. It might not be raining much. And then this line of storms is going to blast through strong winds. Please, please take it serious if you get a tornado warning. These storms look pretty potent up here all the way to the Tidewater, the Delmarva area. And these storms will continue. This is around 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And I think about 8, 9 o'clock, you're in the clear. But look at this line. I mean, this is going to pack a punch this afternoon into this evening in these areas. And then it moves on out. So what about the updraft helicity swath, which tells us what there's rotation with some of these storms? It's pretty loud, I would say, in eastern North Carolina. There is a legit tornado risk in eastern North Carolina, even areas of eastern South Carolina, southeast VA today. I mean, you see these colored areas. This is where, you know, once you start to see the greens and the yellows, where you have a higher risk of some of these updrafts rotating. Doesn't mean you're necessarily 100% going to get a tornado, but it means you run the risk of it. So, yeah, some of these storms will likely have an opportunity to produce today. Will they? Let's hope not, but it certainly has a chance to, that's for sure. So, Moving forward, talking about the snow side of this. Okay, we've already spoke on the storms. But as we're moving forward here, it's snowing in the Cumberland Plateau this morning. Got a buddy that lives in the southern Cumberland Plateau. I think he's around in this area. Me and him talk a lot. We joke around on social media. But, he says he's already got a dusting. He lives kind of higher up in the Cumberland Plateau, though. Already says he has a dusting on his porch. So, the rich keep getting richer in Tennessee. It has been a solid just year 2024 for winter weather for most of Tennessee, for sure. Just the way it is sometimes. Hopefully the Carolinas, the Southeast can score sometime this winter. But we're moving into later this morning. You see the green, that's rain, starts to switch to snow. It'll start to snow in Gatlinburg, the Smokies later this morning. We'll have an opportunity to even snow down to the valley areas between the Cumberland Plateau and then the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. And then look at the rain. Let's back it up a little bit. Look at the snow falling around 9, 10, 11 a.m. This morning here over the next few hours in eastern Kentucky. And look how it abruptly switches from heavy rain to heavy snow in West Virginia, even into southeast Ohio. And then the snow will try to get all the way into, say, Blacksburg, Roanoke, Boone, Banner Elk. You guys could get some snow by this afternoon. And then we have to watch after we get into this evening. I think we could have some burst of heavy snow that re-enters the picture. Of course, across all of Kentucky runs the risk of this. Just burst. Nothing really well put together. Just kind of literally showers of snow. And some of these could be burst. So we'll see what happens with this. It could put a light dusting on certain areas, but these will make it all the way to the southern apps. In fact, it shows a little dot of blue down here in North Georgia. Maybe we get some flurries down here, and this will continue all the way into tomorrow morning. So definitely a warm morning turning into a wintry day for some of these areas. In fact, it's already cool out there for some folks. Snowfall between now and the next 24 hours. Next 48 hours, a little bit of light snowfall accumulations up in the higher elevations of Tennessee and North Carolina. Eastern Kentucky and Eastern Tennessee could get a few tenths of an inch of snow. Someone could squeeze in an inch. So definitely continue to get these light events. And then up into the higher elevations of West Virginia, someone could squeeze in several inches of quick snow up and through the Allegheny Mountains, the Highlands, Snowshoe. Even Charleston could get like a half an inch of snow, maybe more, maybe less. We'll see. But that's a breakdown of the Southeast. Now the Northeast today, this is another highly impacted area also. You see the pink, that'll disappear in Maine and go mainly to green. So freezing rain switches to just rain, a cold rain. It could actually warm up though as the low pressure cuts to your west. The same thing, guys. You see this thin line of storms. This is your time right here. It's around 12 o'clock. So lunchtime, thin line of storms makes its way through New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Delaware, and then it starts to greet you guys in southern New England. And you're going to get strong winds accompanied with this. Not much of a tornado risk this far north. You're just lacking, I would say, higher moisture at the surface. But man, this starts to move in, really slam southern New England. It is going to be just a messy evening in southern New England. Definitely, if you haven't already tied your stuff down in southern New England, go out there, get soaked, and go on and do it now. But as you can tell, the rain will try to switch to snow and on the back side of this and into the interior sections of New York State. Tries to switch to some heavy wet snow tonight and say Vermont. But I don't think you guys are going to get much snow off this. It's the lake effect snow that follows, and there it is. Lake effect snow start to get going really tomorrow morning. And we could get some of this energy that sort of makes its way away from the Great Lakes. So we could get some snow showers to Scranton, Binghamton, heck, all the way to Philadelphia, maybe even New York City. It's almost looks like little mini supercells of snow. Pretty wild stuff. But you continue to keep this going. Lake effect snow continues through to tomorrow evening, all the way into tomorrow night, and it's still going all the way into Friday morning with this event. But a rainfall between now, and most of this is rain, but this is really precipitation between now and the next 48 hours. I mean, you guys are going to get a quick 2.5, 3 inches of rain in southern New England. A lot of rain to Maine. This will be falling on some snowpack up here. 1.5, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches of rain. Go down here and just, if you live in the Delmarva, inch and a quarter, 1.5 inches. Some of this is already falling right now. So definitely a high impact event. And here's these winds, folks. This is the National Weather Service forecast between now and the next 24 hours. Dover, of going for a max wind gust of 42 miles per hour. New York City, anywhere from 45 to 50 miles per hour. Out on Long Island, folks, anywhere from 55 to 65 mile per hour winds are possible. You go out to Boston, just southern New England, Springfield, Hartford, Waterbury, Norwich. I mean, you guys could go anywhere from 45 to as much as 60 mile per hour wind gust, even higher in Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, etc. And then we head on up here to Maine. What you looking like up here? Very strong winds. Caribou, around a 50 mile per hour wind gust is possible. Bangor, as high end as a 52. Portland, 53. But you go to the down east areas, 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with this. And one thing I did not show you guys, and I'll do it on the fly for you folks in Atlantic Canada, because I don't want to ignore you guys. First off, I want to show snowfall in New England just over the next, I would say, 48 hours. Okay. This is really getting into the lake effect snow. But as you can tell, dusting amounts in the southern tier, a little bit of snow in PA, not a whole lot. Vermont, New Hampshire, just dusting amounts. I don't think you're going to get a lot from this rain to change into snow event. Maybe as much as a couple inches of wet snow, but definitely not a big event here. So let's switch it to, let's just look at the Euro, and then let's go this, let's go that, this, that, and the other. And let's look at wind gust swath kilometers per hour. So this is what the Euro is saying for you folks up in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Island, Prince Edward Island, for example. You know, I would say the worst is going to certainly be in St. John. I believe that's what it's called. Trying to going off my memory. Over 100 to 105 kilometer per hour wind gusts are possible across all New Brunswick, anywhere from 80 to 100 kilometer per hour wind gust. And same thing with Nova Scotia, maybe a little bit less. But if you live on the far western tip of Nova Scotia, over 100 kilometer per hour wind gusts are possible. But definitely just very strong winds with this. Take this serious. It's going to be mainly rain. I don't think it's going to be any snow with this, except after the system pulls out. And yeah, so definitely just a big old rain bomb up here. So definitely be prepared. I know I didn't speak on you as long, but this is pretty much is coming up right now. But going past this, looking at the south central U.S., you guys are dealing with the cold high now. And, just not a whole lot going on. We take it into tonight all the way into tomorrow morning. We'll watch for a little bit of snow shower activity possible in northern Missouri, maybe just outside the St. Louis area. But outside of that, guys, not a whole lot to speak on for the south central. Now, the north central U.S., really the dominant topic is the lake effect snow impacting the UP of Michigan, lower Michigan. And we're even going to get some light snow into Green Bay, Milwaukee. Heck, even some snow shower activity, snow squall activity is possible in Chicago. And then you look down here in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, northern Kentucky, you see the darker shades of blue, but it's not like clumped together. It's just rounds of snow showers, snow squalls. But then the big thing to look at here is the lake effect snow this evening. We're getting into the overnight hours. We're getting into tomorrow morning. We're getting all the way into tomorrow evening, all the way into the overnight hours tomorrow night. And this is looking like it's beginning to taper off at this point. But I do want to take a closer look at my friends here in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and surrounding states. This could catch some people off guard. I do want to say, you're going to get a period of some snow probably in eastern Ohio this morning. It could be quite heavy, could put a dusting of snow on the ground, maybe an inch. And then as we're getting into this afternoon, it's around 1 p.m. I'm just going to kind of spit out times and then just kind of watch this wave of snow move in. This is 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Look, I mean, we're getting just rounds of snow kind of making its way through Indiana, portions of Illinois, Indianapolis, obviously, higher populated area. You guys could get some snow squalls this afternoon down to Columbus, Cincinnati, Frankfort, Lexington, Dayton, Columbus later on this evening. I'm telling you, these things could catch you by surprise all the way into lower Michigan. Grand Rapids, Lansing, Flint, you guys could get some snow squalls. You saw it last week. You could see it again today. And just you're probably going to see these coming. If you're just kind of driving, making your way home from work, you're going to see these coming. It's going to be hard to forecast exactly when they're going to hit your house. But, for example, 11 a.m., lunchtime, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 11 p.m. So throughout the entire afternoon, evening period, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, even Kentucky, heck, maybe even all the way down to Tennessee, all the way up to lower Michigan. Some snow squalls are possible. Not snow squalls, just flurries, light snow showers, moderate snow showers. Western U.S., quiet weather, light snow will continue to drift around here in Montana, maybe the western sections of the Dakotas. And then a system starts to move into the Pacific Northwest, Northern California. Later on tonight, this will bring lower elevation rain, higher elevation snow, and then it'll just kind of weaken as it gets kind of ripped apart later on tomorrow. So temperatures very warm ahead of this system. Look at this surge of warm, moist air all the way up to southern New England. Temperatures in the 50s, even some 60s. Temperatures soaring all the way into the 70s in eastern North Carolina. But look at the cold air up here. Highs are going to be below zero in certain areas, and like the northern sections of Minnesota, North Dakota. I mean, the high in Duluth could only be near 0 degrees. It's going to be a chilly day. In fact, the southeast, if you live in Atlanta, really Columbia to Charlotte, or even Raleigh, kind of those areas, the temperatures will actually drop throughout the day. Your warmest temperatures you might be dealing with over the next 24 hours are likely right now. Cold front will blast through and will just be one of those uncommon cold front, sharp cold front. So it actually drops your temperatures later on this afternoon. So pretty wild stuff. Very cold temperatures in Iowa, northern Missouri. You look out west, look at this crazy temperature gradient. You might get into the 50s in southwest Nebraska, but in northeast Nebraska, you're locked into the teens. So you call your buddy in western Nebraska and be like, man, is it cold there? No, not really. In Omaha, it's in the 20s and teens. So pretty wild stuff. So I do want to have a special segment for my friends here in the lake effect snow areas. This is the expected snowfall between now and 7 a.m. Thursday. So tomorrow morning, Marquette going from 4 to 8 inches. Ironwood 8 to 12. Copper Harbor 5 to 8. Houghton 5 to 8. Grand Marais 6 to 9. I know I'm butchering names. I'm just going to keep rolling. 3 to 6 inches in Newberry. Gaylord 9 to 14 inches of snow. Republic 1 to 3. Even some of these areas kind of away from the shoreline could get a little bit of accumulating snow from this. Also, I tell you what, man, if I lived down here in like northern Wisconsin, I would deliberately move north just to experience the snow. Every time I show this like map, it always blows my mind how these areas down here see hardly no snow, but up here sees it all. So anyways, moving forward here, looking at the rest of lower Michigan, this is between now and 7 p.m. Thursday. Grayling, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Cadillac, 8 to 12. Big Rapids, 4 inches. Grand Rapids, 4 to 6. Midland, 1 to 2. Bad Axe, 3 to 4. Flint, 1 to 2. Lansing, 2 to 3 inches of snow. Detroit, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Jackson, 2 to 3. Lansing, 2 to 3. Kalamazoo, 4 to 6. St. Joseph, 2 to 3 inches of snow. Cleveland area, Cleveland, maybe around an inch. Mount Vernon, around an inch. Worcester, just basically if you're south of Cleveland, half an inch to an inch of snow is possible. Mentor, 2 to 3 inches. The further you go up Interstate 90, the more snow you see. By the time you get into Erie, about 10 to 11 inches of snow expected between now and tomorrow evening. It's really once you get further northeast of Erie, that's when it gets into the crippling area of snow. So speaking of just northeast of that area, Ripley, for example, 14 to 15 inches of snow. That's between now and 7 p.m. Friday. Buffalo, this is going to be a wild event for you folks. If you live in the immediate Buffalo area, few inches, maybe several inches. You go into the southern suburbs of Buffalo, maybe over a foot. I mean, a few miles is going to make a huge difference. I really think this band is going to set up and be kind of like, I would say west-southwest to almost east-northeast oriented. I mean, it is going to be close to a big one for Buffalo, but I really think it'll stay just south. And, Dunkirk between now and Friday evening, almost 2 feet of snow. But, I mean, if you live in this area, over 2 feet of snow is expected. Between Buffalo and Dunkirk, you guys, over 2 feet of snow expected. Watertown, 19 inches. Between Pulaski, and Watertown, someone's going to get almost 3 feet of snow from this. And this is going to fall fast, too. I really don't think this is going to fall over the course of like 5-6 days. This is going to fall over the course, I think, around 2.5, 3 days, maybe. So definitely a lot. Not a whole lot between Buffalo and Watertown. Typically, you guys don't get a whole lot from lake effect snow. Not as much, I would say. But anyways, moving past this. So this is when we're going to talk about, if we can get this off our screen here. All right, there we go. this is when we're going to talk about the pattern we are seeing after this. So once again, I know this gets kind of confusing. Sometimes I struggle explaining it, but the orange, the yellows, the red you see on your screen, that's high pressure. It's a ridge. The blues, that's lower pressure. That's unsettled weather. Typically, you get a cold front with it, so you get colder than average temperatures. So don't just immediately, though, always think that, a lot of times it does, but don't immediately think just because you see red or orange on your map, it's warmer temperatures. You see blue on your map, it's cold temperatures. But typically it's associated with that. So with that being said, let's get rocking here. So I'm going to start this about a week from today. The pattern supports ridging across most of the lower 48. It looks like most of the lower 48 is going to be above average. The pattern supports that. Everything's been pointing to it. Okay, and this is the 18th, that time frame. If you listen to the beginning of the intro that I mentioned, this is what happens after that. It gets kind of weird. You get this tall, spiking, scrawny ridge all the way up into Alaska and Western Canada. And by the way, speaking of that ridge, we call it a positive PNAs when we have a ridge out west. This looks really rooted into our pattern this winter, which is a good thing if you live in the eastern U.S. It's a bad thing if you're a winter fan and you live in the western U.S. But anyways, let's keep going. What we're seeing here is a sign for maybe some energy down here. You see the blue that just popped up down here as we're getting into next weekend. This is about 10 days out. I know it's kind of far, but listen, I'm sniffing this one out, okay? So what you're seeing here, I'm going to go a little bit more. What you're seeing here is a cross-polar flow. Getting a tall, this is not the color I want. Getting a tall spiking ridge up into here. We're getting a big dip in the jet right here, and we're getting a drop of cold air down into here, okay? So to me, this tells me cold air is coming down to the pattern because the ridge is spiking up here, dislodging that cold air down here. We're going to have some unsettled weather in the blue, lower pressure. So are we going to have some sort of storm system into here? Are we going to have some kind of active northern and lower stream? In general, I would view it like this. Are we going to just have some sort of storm system into here with cold air trying to funnel down into it? What are we going to have into here? Tall spiking ridge, dislodging cold air. We're starting to get more confident in that. On a cold period, at least before Christmas. This is the 21st of December. It's not too far away from us. It really isn't. It's not like we're speaking like for New Year's or something. It's not too far away. Okay? What happens with this? And you know, you can kind of keep this going here, and it looks like it's kind of a fleeting pattern that it doesn't stick around too long, but you know, there's still a signal even as we go to around Christmas for a ridge here and just kind of a dip in the jet here, and still maybe a dislodgement of cold air kind of into the eastern U.S. Okay, so I'm going to back this up now and kind of go back to that time frame I was just showing you, which is the 21st is just a day that keeps sticking out in my head. The 21st. Okay, and this is the Euro ensemble. Let's compare this with the GFS ensemble. Same look. And this is the 06Z. This is the one that just came out. Same look for something right into here. Okay, this is the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Something showing up there. And even if you compare it like for example, you compare the OOZ GEFS to the 06Z, the current GEFS. In fact, it's trending towards lower pressure with this. So it's actually continuously trending towards something here. Something is here. And I'm going to tell you guys, I am pulling hard for this. You know, this is the time of the year for me. It's Christmas time. I love the idea of cold weather, snowy weather just before the holidays. It excites me more than any other weather out there. So I'm not going to wish cast it where I'm going to lead you guys astray off what I want, but I'm seeing something here. You look at the Canadian ensemble. It's there too. There's something there. Tall spiking ridge, dislodgement of cold air into lower pressure. And then we look at the Euro AI model, which, folks, has been on this for about a week now. Continues to show some sort of southern stream energy here. Dislodgement of cold air into this energy and shows something right here. I'm not saying this is going to be a winter storm for the Southeast, a winter storm for anybody. I'm saying I think something is going to happen in this time frame for someone across the eastern U.S. What are we the most confident in? We're the most confident in the fact that, yes, we're going to have a warm-up for literally the middle portion of the month, the 14th to the 17th, okay? What you're seeing here in the red is above average temperatures. When you see the blues and the greens, that's below average temperatures. Let's keep it at that. Whether it's 7.5 degrees below or above average temperatures, let's not worry about that right now. So these above average temperatures kind of move in and then they move out. It's not an entrenched, rooted pattern. And then we start to get closer to the 18th, and that's when you start to see the blues take over the warmer colors very gradually. And then by the time we get to the 21st, there it is, 21st, below average temperatures start to settle in. And then they hang around all the way until Christmas. And then, you do see a lot of warm air around after that. Who knows, though? That's getting pretty far out. So what does this all mean at the surface? I'll say it right at the dot. We don't have any clue. But what kind of runs are we seeing in this time frame? What kind of storm systems are we seeing? Let's take a look. And you know what? I'm just going to go on and jump right to the eastern half of the U.S. because this looks like the area it would impact. So we start Thursday. We get into this weekend. I do think we'll have a warmer system that kind of flies across the middle of the system, the middle of the country. This will bring just rain because remember that middle portion of the month looks like mainly warm air across the entire country. So we're going to have a lot of warm systems. And look at this system cutting across the middle of the country, all rain all the way up to Chicago. This could turn into a powerful storm system that gets this pattern shift going. Notice we're in the morning of the 17th at this point. All right, so what happens as we're getting to the 18th? Not a whole lot, because I do think this is kind of the beginning. Remember, I keep saying the 18th is when it gets weird. The 21st, give or take a day, is when I'm watching for something to happen. So we continue to go. We get into the 19th. There's this storm system, colder air wrapped in with it. We get into the 19th. We get into the 20th. There's a powerful storm system riding across the eastern U.S. Cold air kind of digs down. You can't see it, but there's energy right into here. And then a low pressure develops right here. This is kind of the 21st into the 22nd. This is a powerful low pressure with cold air just waiting to be tapped into in the eastern U.S. But the low pressure is too far off the eastern seaboard to really affect. In fact, look how close Boston is. Look what it ends up turning into, a massive winter storm for Atlantic Canada. And this is close to doing something for the eastern U.S. What about the Euro? The Euro shows something in this time frame too. We get into this weekend, same thing, storm system, a lot of rain. We get into next week, big storm system flying over the middle of the country. This could bring some severe weather. This does bring a winter storm across portions of the upper Midwest. And then we start to get to the 18th. This is when we start to watch. Trough digs down, cold air settles in. Here comes the system flying in from the south. So it looks like it's going to cut. Weird looking system as we're getting into the 21st. Here it is, low pressure, cold air coming in right behind it. And then it almost looks kind of like the system we're dealing with right now. But big cold air kind of surges in behind this. And then what happens? Nothing really crazy happens on the Euro. It really doesn't. What about the Canadian model? Canadian model shows a whopper of a storm system, but it's cutting starting on the 18th. Look at that big winter storm across the central portion of the country. All right, Oklahoma, Missouri, getting into Illinois, Indiana, big winter storm. Okay, it moves into the northeast. Big low pressure cutting across the mid-Atlantic. This will be all rain. Look at the cold air surging in behind it, snowing as far south as Charlotte, North Carolina. And then the Euro AI model. If this pattern ends up happening and something ends up happening around the 21st, the Euro will gain a lot of respect from the weather community. It continues to show something in this area. And, here it comes. System flies in. Here comes the 16th. System flying in. And this only shows green. It only shows precipitation. It doesn't show blue as in snow. But here comes the 18th. Here's the system flying in. You can see the 540 line and the other blue lines behind it. Cold air is digging down. And look at how active the southern stream looks. We're getting into the 19th. And then what happens? Here's a low pressure riding in from the Gulf, cold air on top. What happens? Oof, man, it is close to something substantial. In fact, it turns into that. This is the evening of the 21st, turns into a major winter storm for certain areas of the upper mid-south, the mid-Atlantic. And even though this all shows green, this is cold air is right in here. This would be snow, wintry weather, a lot of cold air digging down. In fact, you compare this and you actually, I mean, look at this. It actually forms another low pressure here. And what are the temperatures in this frame? Probably not warm enough, probably not cold enough. I mean, it's pretty chilly. This would be snow for, yeah. Anyways, there's something showing up for this. On all model guys, there's just something there that I'm watching like a hawk. So we're going to start to talk about this heavily, especially tomorrow. We'll spend more and more time on it until we really figure out this time frame. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.